Hello everyone and welcome back to the next session on functions. So far, we have seen definition of a function, the need for function in programming language like C, advantages of the same, and we have also seen three important components of function, that is function declaration, which is also called as function prototype, function call, and function definition. Apart from that, in the previous video, we have seen how to develop programs using user-defined functions. The two programs that we have seen which involved functions, the first one was to check whether an integer is prime or not, and the second one was to perform various string operations using parameter passing techniques. Now, in this particular video, we are going to have a look at categories of functions. Now, when I say categories of functions, I'm talking about categories of user-defined functions. We have seen that a function receives several values from the calling function, and after executing the body of the function, it returns a value to the calling function. But depending on programming situations, receiving the values or returning may be present or may not be present. And depending on whether the arguments are present or not, or whether a value is going to be returned or not, functions in C can be classified in the following categories. This is what is called as categories of functions. I have listed 5 categories of functions in front of you. Even though quite good number of literature says that there are 4 categories of functions. Functions with no arguments and no return values. Function with arguments but no return values. Functions with no arguments and return values. Functions with arguments and return values. But I have just used the combination of all 4 and I have come out with a typical category according to me, what is called as functions with variations in number of arguments. Now let us look at each one of these categories with an example so that things will be much more clear for all of us. The first one is functions with no arguments and no return values. So this is what I have the program in front of me, right? I have a user defined function called as my underscore function. Now this is the function declaration. I don't need to tell you. Then I have this main program and printf. Then this is my function call, and this is my function definition, right? So I'm calling a function, my function, without any argument. You see, you do not find anything in the pair of opening and closing brackets. And then from the function, user defined function, I'm not returning any value. So this is what you mean by function with no arguments and no return values. Let us copy and paste this particular program in the online compiler and see how it works. So this is what it is. So I have my function in line number 2, line number 5 is where I am calling the function, and line number 8 to 10 is what is my function definition. So let me make it more from the readability point of view, and then I run this particular program. Right, and that is what I get the output if you look at it. So I have now in main, now in my function, and back to main. So first line number 5 gets executed, then line number 6 will transfer the control to line number 10, and in the function definition line number 11 gets executed, and line number 12 will take the control back to line number 6, and then line number 7 gets executed, right? So this is a typical example of function with no arguments and no return values. I move to the next category of function, what is called as function with arguments and no return values, right? So I'll just copy and paste this particular code in the compiler as usual, right? Now this is what I have. So as usual, I have my function declaration. Let me put the header file here. Okay, Now what it says is function with arguments but no return values. I have value of a and b here, and line number 7 is where I am calling a function, my underscore function, with two parameters a and b. That means I'm calling a function with 5 and 10 as a parameter. So this is what we say, function with arguments, that is function with parameters. And then what happens, as you know, the value of a will come and sit in x, the value of b will come and sit in y. So my x is 5 and y is 10. So I have a variable add as an integer data type in line number 12, and in line number 13 the addition of x and y, which comes out to be 15, is stored in variable add. And in line number 15 I am trying to print the value of the variable add, right? And then line number 15 will ensure the control goes back to line number 7. So despite doing some of the operations in function definition, I am not returning any value back to the main program, despite I am calling a function with the parameter. So this is a typical example of functions with arguments but no return values. So let me run this particular program, and that is where you see the output, correct? So first line number 6 will be executed. So it says going to my function, and then the control comes to line number 11 with x and y as 5 and 10, and after addition line number 14 will print in my function addition is 15, and then control will go back and print line number 8, which is nothing but back to main program, right? So this is how typically the second category of function works. Let us look at the third category of the function, that is called as function with no arguments but return values. So let us have a look at this particular code, how it works. So since this is with respect to returning a value from the function, it is extremely important for me to associate the data type. The data type, that means the data type for the return value of the function. And hence you find here I have used int. That means the function will return an integer data type. So I have this, and now this is an example of function with no arguments, right? Now you look at line number 7. I am calling a function without any argument here. So there's nothing written in the pair of opening and closing brackets, right? But then since this will return something, I am calling this function, and whatever I return, whatever the value I get back from the function will be stored on the variable which is on the left hand side, that is x. So let us have a look at it. First line number 6 gets executed, that is going to my function. Then you are calling a function without any argument, so the control will come to line number 11. Then in line number 12, I have initialized two variables, a as 5, b as 10. And in line number 13, what I am doing is I am adding those two variables. So the value of variable add will become 5 plus 10, which is nothing but 15. Now what happens, line number 14 will be nothing but return add. And what's the value of add? It is nothing but 15. Understand? So this particular 15 will be returned from line number 14, and it will come and sit in line number 7. Now when it sits in line number 7, internally your line number 7 will look like x equal to 15 semicolon. Got it? Internally your line number 7 will look like x equal to 15 semicolon, which is a valid statement in C. And then line number 8 will print the value of x as 15. So let us see what will be the output when we run the program. So as I said, that going to my function, and then that will be printed, and then the addition of the variable takes place inside the function, but the value of that addition is sent back to the main program, and this printf line number 8 will print the value of x is equal to 15. So this is how the code works with respect to the category of the function, which is nothing but function with no arguments and returning a value. Let us look at the fourth category of the function, that is called as function with arguments and return values. So this is function with arguments. Since I'm going to have my user defined function with arguments, I have supplied two arguments for the user defined function, which is called as, which belongs to the data type called as integer, right? So line number 2 is a function prototype, which tells that my function is a user defined function which takes two parameters of integer data type. I repeat, my function is a user defined function which takes two parameters of integer data type and it returns an integer value. So that is line number 2 for you. Now line number 5, I have a couple of declaration and initialization statements. Then line number 6, going to my function to add, and then look at line number 7 very carefully. I have my user defined function with parameters a and b, and whatever is returned from that will be stored in variable sum, right? So I'm calling a function with parameter, and then I'm going to return something back to the main program from user defined function. So from line number 7, the control will come to line number 11. The value of a, which is 5, will sit with x. The value of b, which is 10, will sit in y. And this particular line number 13 will add x plus y as 15. And as usual, line number 14 will return back that 15 to line number 7, and sum equal to 15 will be here. So it is something like sum equal to 15 semicolon, right? So in line number 7, I am calling a function with arguments, and in line number 14, I am returning the value. So you see the output there, going to my function to add, and then addition takes place inside the function. The value returns back to the program, and line number 8 will print value of sum is equal to 15, right? So that is how the function with arguments and returning values works in C. Let us look at the last category of function, a typical category according to me, which is nothing but variations in number of arguments, right? Now, what do you mean by variations in number of arguments? So far, we have seen that the calling function and the called function both have the same number of arguments, right? That means in the calling function, I have used, let us say, a and b, and in the called function, I have used x and y as parameters or arguments. And then we made a statement that in the calling function, if a and b are used, then the value of a will go and sit in x, which is the first parameter in the called function, and similarly the value of b will go and sit in y, which is the second parameter of the called function. Now sometimes it so happens that the number of parameters may not match with respect to the calling and the called function, right? Say for example, the calling function can have two parameters and the called function can have one parameter. It is also possible the reverse. The calling function may have one parameter and the called function may have two parameters. Since the number of parameters do not match, we call it as variations in number of arguments. Variations in number of arguments, right? So let us have a look at how this particular program works. Okay, so I am calling a function in line number 5, right, with two parameters a and b. So my calling function, this is my calling function, it has got two parameters. Got it all of you? My calling function has got two parameters. But when you look at line number 11, this is my called function which has got one parameter. Understand, right? So line number 5, I am calling a function with two parameters, and in line number 9, I have only one parameter. Now this is what is called as variations in number of parameters. But the beauty of C is it will not give you compilation error, right? But if it does not give compilation error, let us look at how it behaves actually. So I have the value of a as 5, I have the value of b as 10, and here I have only x. Now see the beauty of C. here you have two parameters and here you have one parameter, right? Now when you say here it has got one parameter, it is nothing but, or it will be treated as the first parameter. Please understand, it will be treated as first parameter, and hence the value of a will come and sit in x. I repeat, the value of a will come and sit in x. So what's the value of a? That is 5. So even though in line number 5, I am calling the function with 5 and 10 as parameter, only 5 comes and sits in x. Be careful, only 5 will come and sit in x, and b, it just falls in no man's area, right? And then what happens? Line number 10 will print the value of x, which is nothing but 5, and then control goes back to line number 6, which will print in main the value of a is still 5 and b is still 10. Please understand, even though you are trying to send two parameters but collecting only one parameter, the second parameter in function definition has got no meaning, but still it persists, or still it exists in the main program, and that is the prime reason b in main program will print the value as 10. Let us have a look at the program and see its output. So there you see, value of x is equal to 5, that is in the function part, and then when control comes back to main, it prints in main a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10. Right? Now here the calling function had two parameters and the called function one parameter. Now let us see the reverse of it, where the calling function will have one parameter and the called function will have two parameters. So this is what I mean, correct? So again, line number 5, I'm calling a function with one parameter, and line number 9, I'm having two parameters. So calling function is having one parameter and the called function is having two parameters. Again, a typical example of variations in number of parameters. Okay, so I'm calling a function with 5 as a parameter. Since a is the first parameter, value of a will come and sit in x. So x will get 5. But you have declared y also, right? So since you have declared y, it is bound to print the value of y, because you are also making an attempt to print the value of y, right? So when control from line number 5 comes to line number 9, in line number 9, we only know that the value of x is 5, right? And hence this printf will print value of x as 5. But you are also trying to print the value of y, which is not initialized, correct? Now, what basically C follows is, C follows the concept of storage classes, where one of the questions that is answered is, what is the default initial value of a particular variable when it is not initialized? So the concept of storage class comes here and it prints the value of y as a garbage value. So some garbage or junk value will be printed for the variable y, right? More on storage class we will see in our further videos, but as of now, just understand that if the value of variable is not initialized, right, you will get a junk value for that particular variable. But let me also give you a word of caution. It is not that every time you will get junk value. It purely depends upon the storage class, which we will see further. But yes, in this case, it is going to print the junk value. So let us look at the output of this particular program. So I have the output, value of x is equal to 5. You see, that is what I said. But then value of y is something huge here, right? So this is actually called as junk value or garbage value. So whatever I am getting the output for y, it need not be same for you people also. When you make an attempt to edit this program or type this program, compile and execute, you people may get a different value of y. I mean, that is fine because it is nothing but a junk value. And once line number 10 gets executed, it will go back to the main program and it will execute line number 6, which is nothing but in main a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10. Right? So this is how Typically, a program is developed which involves or which tells the concept of variations in number of arguments.